Ahoy Chummers, and welcome back to PhynalEcho Plays Shadowrun Hong Kong. If you guys remember where we last left off, we had left the Kowloon walled city and had returned to Kindly Chang to deliver a report, and found out from her that the good news is that our sins had been burned, so we wouldn't be on the run from the law anymore. Well, less looked for by the law, I guess, since now basically we're Shadowrunners. But she had found evidence that someone had come to Raymond, our adopted father, and killed him. Some man in a plastic mask or whatever. So we're about to sleep off the harrowing journey that we've had and get on with our new shadow lives. So let's get into it, shall we? Oops. Okay. Alright, so our objective is to get some sleep. So let's do just that. The dream is suffocating. The shifting tunnel of glass and steel, the towering silhouette of dark majesty, the shadowy doorway, and the teeth. They snap at your heels as you claw your way back to consciousness. You open your eyes to Duncan looming over you. He shakes your shoulder roughly. "Lynne! Come on, Lynne, wake up! We gotta go talk to Kindly. The others already left." That was one rough night. He lets go of your shoulder and cocks a thumb at the hatch. "We gotta go. I've been trying to wake you up for a while now. You were thrashing around in your sleep." "Thanks. Let's get going. We don't want to keep a mob boss waiting." "My thinking too. I'm good to go." From the expression on his face, he doesn't look good to go. "Did you get some rest?" He reaches up and rubs the back of his neck. "Enough, I guess." His fingers hit a knot. He winces. "I didn't sleep well last night. Bad dream." Excuse me. "Me too. Guess that's why I was thrashing." "Guess so. I'm not surprised we both had nightmares, though." He stretches his shoulders. "Nothing's gone right since we stepped foot in this country. Think about it. That statement from the cops on the newscast could be fake. Oz was. And that surveillance footage? We never saw Raymond get shot. The camera was hit by straight gunfire. His passion is intense, but contained, focused. Raymond's alive, Lynne. We know it." "You make a good case, Officer Wu." He smiles. His teeth are white and straight and perfect. "Should have been a detective instead of a headbuster, right?" His smile fades. "God, I feel like I'm 12 years old again, squatting on a stinking trawler. My partner's gone, Raymond's gone, hell, I'm gone. I don't even have a real name anymore. Now I can't go to sleep and hide it from it all without having a nightmare." His jaw tightens and his teeth grind so loud you can hear it. "What else is gonna be taken away from me?" "Nothing. It's time for us to turn the tables, do some taking of our own." Wu's head cocks like he's got the scent of something. "I've heard that tone before. What are you talking about, Lynne?" "Isn't it obvious? Look around. We're sinless, living in the shadows, dealing with criminals." Wu's silent for a moment. All you get is a blank expression. you thinking of becoming a Shadowrunner? He says it without judgment, just a statement of fact. I think we already are Shadowrunners. I think. He stops and crosses his arm, considers. I think this whole thing has been a blur. I haven't been able to really stop and think for a second. Shakes his head slowly, lets out a groan. This isn't the way it's supposed to be. I'm supposed to be a cop. Be like super asshole. You get to keep your gun. That's something. Don't mess with me, woman. He checks his watch. Gobbin and Isabel left a while ago. We should get going too. See what that triad lady has to say. Alright, so now we need to meet with Kindly Chang again. I wonder if there's anything. Just poke around. There's that rat statue again. That's pretty cute. I guess not. Alright. Guess we should go. We shouldn't leave the triad boss waiting. Oh, looks like we've got someone hanging out. Kindly's place reeks of stale cigar smoke and fresh urine. The clicking of mahjong tiles is strangely absent. In his place is a low murmur of laughter and an air of eager anticipation. All eyes are focused on a groaning figure kneeling bloody and bound at the feet of Kindly Chang. She beckons to him with her finger, and he struggles towards her, the loud rustling of the plastic tarp cracking under his knees as he moves. His pants are wet with fear. An acetylene torch lies on the table at Chang's right hand. Kindly Chang ignores the scene. She behaves as if all is right in the world. How did you sleep, my little ones? Like a baby, Auntie. I'm still in the afterglow of our tour of the walled city. The Triad's boss's eyes turn to half moons of amusement. Afterglow? Really? She nods her head back towards a pillar of meat standing behind her. Then you should be delighted to say hello to your old friend, Strangler Bao. He's here because of you. What's up, beef? Wow. How very pleasant to see you again, Mr. Bao. Bao inclines his head, 1/4 of an inch. Well then, now that the niceties are over, let's get to the nasties. She indicates the kneeling man with an incline of her nose. Shitbird here is a plainclothes cop. He snuck into the area last night while you were sleeping, hoping to find you and kill you before his competition got to you first. My men found him outside the trawler you were sleeping on. They saw to it that your rest was undisturbed and that your location remained a mystery. She nods her head back towards the pillar of meat standing behind her. You can thank Mr. Bao for that. Nod at Strangler Bao. Yeah. Bao inclines his head, 1/4 of an inch. She addresses the bloody man on his knees. Now, shitbird, tell my friends here what you told me. I don't know anything, I swear. We just got the orders in last night. He pushes his head towards you and Wu from the floor, struggling to keep his balance. Someone high up wants these two dead. The whole department is in on it. I don't know anything else. Someone from high up? The old woman lifts her foot, taps his chin with the toe of her shoe. How high? The cop looks up at her, looks around the room filled with Triad soldiers. One of them opens his coat and shows the cop something inside. He closes it slowly and winks. The cop drops his head to his chest. All the way up. All the way up. It's someone on the council. Someone on the executive council wants these two dead? Chang spits on him with a sneer. Fuck your ancestors to the 18th generation. Give me the truth. The cop wears the spittle. He never lifts his head. It's the truth, madam, I swear. Whoever it was labeled them as terrorists. We're to exterminate them with extreme prejudice. Kindly Chang shuffles closer to the kneeling cop, reaches down and strokes his head with her hand. Then she slowly digs her fingers into his scalp. She pulls back hard until his chin points high. Triad boss leans in close and searches his eyes with her own. And that's all he's got. She lets go of his head and smooths his buzz-cut hair with her hand. For whatever reason, last night someone on the Executive Council of the Free Enterprise Zone ordered the Hong Kong police force to kill 2 nobodies from Seattle. I find that fascinating, don't you? I call that some messed up shit. Seattle isn't like Hong Kong. There, the megacorps control the government. Here, the corps are the government. The Exec Council is chosen by the Corporate Board of Governors. They're basically the legislative and executive branches of the Hong Kong government in one tiny package. 8 people call the shots. Neat and efficient. Kylie Chang steps back from the cop and lights one of her thin black cigars. For the wage slaves and the civilian sheep, the corporations are a pantheon of gods who wield absolute power. She looks around the room. But not for us. The Triad woman takes a long pull from her cigar and taps her ash on the kneeling cop's head. Who else knows about my guest's visit to Haoi, shitbird? No one, madam. I hadn't called it in yet. I wanted the kill for myself. No one knows they're here, I swear it. She turns to Enforcer. Mr. Bao? Bao fiddles with the PDA in his meaty hands. He's telling the truth. No outgoing calls on his PDA. Very good. Thank you, Bao. She nods at the cop. Thank you for your honesty. In one smooth motion, Strangler Bao produces a silenced pistol, fires it once in the policeman's head, and replaces it in his jacket. His face never changes expression. Looks like the Triads can be just as efficient. Chang takes a drag on her cigar. Yes, my darling. She balances her cigar on her shot glass, picks up some mahjong tiles and begins playing with them absently. It is clear our friend Raymond Black was up to something involving the walled city, something having to do with prosperity. And this executive council member wanted Raymond dead for it. She stacks her tiles one by one. Click, clack. Now they want you dead for it, too. Click. This plastic-faced man may show up on your door one day, too. She knocks the pile over and it clatters to the table loudly. I have a proposal for you, my sweets. A smile lights up her dead black eyes. Work for me. With Nightjar and Gutshot dead, I find myself with 2 job openings. Fill them. I have need of deniable assets here. Players unaffiliated with the Triads who can take care of some of the more unsavory business needs about town. You've proven yourselves resourceful, and you have no existing connections here. That can be a positive in this line of work. Shadowruns. Wu grunts. His jaw tightens, but he stays quiet. In exchange, I will keep you safe from pests like this one. She nods at the body on the floor. The pool of blood on the plastic wrap continues to widen. You'll have safe harbor here in my town and a steady source of income. She picks up the handful of tiles again. And while you dip your toe into the waters of corporate espionage, organized crime, and clandestine mercenary actions, I will implore my network to find the plastic-faced man and gather information about Raymond Black. Where he's been, who he's talked to, who stood to gain from his death, what this prosperity could be. You're putting out a lot of effort to help a pair of foreigners. Not foreigners, my sweet. Valued business associates. I need to learn who killed one of my clients and then ordered the cops to execute my team of Shadowrunners. Her voice drops and she becomes deadly serious. This is a brazen disregard of my power. Face dictates it must be confronted, or I stand to lose everything. We need to find out who killed Raymond and why. And we shall, my sweet. She leans in. Work with me. Allow me to help you make money. Let my network work for you and help you find out what you've gotten yourselves into. Without my help, you won't last a day out there. You are completely out of your depth, I'm afraid. You need a partner. Kindly Chang will be your partner. Wu's hands go to his hips. He drops his head and shakes it a little amused. It was just like you said, Lynne. Shadowrun is. Glad I had some time to think about it. Process. He grips the back of his neck, squeezes hard, rips his hand away. Ah, fuck it. I'm not a cop anymore. That guy's dead. He nods. The decision's made. I'm in. What about you? I'm in too. I didn't have anything back home anyway. He looks at you and lets out a chuckle. Yeah, you might want to ask yourself why someday. Okay, I'm in. But this is a temporary situation for me. Raymond's alive, I'm sure of it. So I'll run the shadows as long as Auntie Chang keeps up her end of the bargain and helps us figure out what really happened to him. And I'm gonna find my father. Then it's done. Haoi is now open to you. She gestures to her lieutenant, who raises a finger to her ear and whispers into her sleeve. First order of business? Lynn Vega and Duncan Wu don't exist anymore. You'll need street names. Wu sighs. Yeah, okay, I'll think of something. Gabit rubs her cheek against her rats, a glint in her eye. I think we already got you covered, Guncho. She turns to Isabel. Fits, doesn't it? Indeed. I knew that was gonna stick. It has stuck. Gabit, Isabel, we'll handle this the same way we did with all your previous work. She didn't say Nightjar. All the jobs I line up for you will be sent to your computer on the squat. She's pointing at you. I got it. Why her? It's a simple process of elimination. She points to her little Deckard. Isabel isn't the leader type. You got that right. She moves her finger to the orc girl. As for Gabit, let's say Gabit doesn't have a head for business. Not my thing. Then she rests her finger on Wu. And then there's Guncho. She wiggles it. The jury's out on Mr. Guncho. Meaning? Her response is direct, straightforward. Meaning there's a lot going on within that head of yours right now, and I'm not sure I can trust you. So I'm in charge because I'm the best of the worst. Oh, my sweet, don't put it that way. She opens her arms. You're the most equipped for the role. She's making sense. You're the right person for this, Lynne. I had a handle back in the Barrens. Livy. Guess it's time I dusted it off. Wu shakes his head, eyebrows raised. Gonna be weird calling you Livy again. Haven't called you that since we were kids. Gabit looks from Isabel to Wu to you. I guess this is not a new crew. The rat on her shoulder scurries to the top of her head for a better view. Welcome to the shadows, Livy. Alright. Guess it's official. We're Shadowrunners. Exciting. So this is our... Okay, cool. So now we can actually, like, level up our stuff. That's interesting. Like, instead of just having full sections for our secondary members, we get, like, smaller advancements for when they level up. That's really cool. It's a really interesting thing. So we can kind of choose their specializations. Ooh. Okay, so let's just go through these really quick. Oh. So for Gabit, since she's a shaman, we might want to go the spiritualist route, because it allows us to summon a spirit and they will never break away within the first 2 rounds after summoning them. Because usually they try to get away from you as the combat rounds progress. So we don't want that. And since I'm using her more as magical muscle anyway, instead of guns, I think that would be a good idea. Because, I mean, at this point my character is the gunner, right? So let's go with that. And for Isabel, I haven't used her decking yet. But having, I mean, those grenades came, like, hella useful earlier. And I picked up decking, so I might... I don't know. Maybe I should keep them to their, like, roles, but I don't know. This seems like it would be a really good idea. I'm gonna go for it. And then Wu... we can go... more power, like he gets a more powerful shot, or he can make enemies easier to hit. That might actually be useful. Have him like mark a target almost and knock him down. Let's do that. That sounds good. Yeah, let's do it. Okay, cool. Alright, so we've upgraded those dudes. Now we have to go back to the boat and check out our sweet Shadowrunner computer. Ugh. Okay, yeah, so this is saying that we can advance and upgrade their skills, which is pretty sweet. Oh, sorry. Anyway, I guess we can go back to the boat now. And start looking at missions. Okay, cool. Oh hey, there's the hatch down to the bottom level. Okay, so let's check out what is in our mission computer. Your workstation and mission computer. The cool blue tones of the workstation's main menu fill the screen. A blinking message in the upper right corner notifies you that you have 6 unread messages. Check your inbox for new messages. Okay, welcome to Haoi. From Kindly Chang to Livy, welcome to Haoi. Livy, on behalf of your friends at the Haoi Chamber of Commerce and the Swift Winds Mahjong Parlor, I welcome you to the community of Haoi and to our new business venture. I've already lined up 3 jobs for you. The details of each are contained in a separate computer message. Remember to check your messages often, as I will update you with new opportunities as they occur. Auntie C. Mission computer. From Isabel to Livy. Hey Livy, I've set up your personal computer to automatically collect and collate news reports, information, and media that might be of interest to you. Some of the keywords I've got it trolling for are things like Raymond, Duncan, Walled City, etc. I've also patched in a permanent link to the Hong Kong shard of the Shadowlands BBS. It's a great place to connect with other runners, sell pay data, get news from the street, and so on. Don't be shy about taking a look. Resources. From Bao. I've been instructed to inform you of the various suppliers present in Haoi. Ani Chang has cultivated a commercial district of well-stocked and trustworthy vendors. Whoever you choose to do business with, you'll be in good hands. Amin Kafai at Club 88 is an excellent resource for acquiring additional weapons, should you require any. If you're in need of magical supplies, please go to Parlor of 5 Phases. If you desire training in the path of the Adept, seek out Spider Shin. She can help you as well as supply you with any close quarters weapons that you might desire. Chrome Alley can supply you with cybernetic enhancements and medical supplies. The proprietor, Tin-Armed Ambrose, is a cyber surgeon of some repute. Law's Techno Palace is a Wampawin-run supplier of the local decking community. The place is hard to miss, just look for a sign glowing in the sky. If you need drones, Reliable Matthews Robot Bazaar is your best bet, and I pity you. Best of luck in the shadows. As fresh meat, likely to need it. Serial killer. From Kindly Chang. I've got a problem, Olivia, and you're going to help me solve it. I do a lot of business with the Wampawins. If you're not familiar with the term, I'll forgive you. You are an outsider, after all. The Wampawins are a tribe of techno-fetishists and deckers who've taken up residence in the Whampoa Garden area of Hong Kong. They make and trade high-tech goods for people all over the world. A lot of Nguyen passes through their pasty little fingers, and I make a lot of money brokering deals between them and the smugglers here in Haoi. I've hit a snag, though. The Wampawin elders, their council of leaders, are being eliminated by a serial killer. They've asked me to dispatch someone to get to the bottom of it and stop the killings. and they're not taking their goods through my turf until I do. So you're going to be my proxy, dear. I don't care how you do it, but I need those murders stopped. The Wampawans have delegate here in Haoi by the name of Maximum Law. Speak with him if you wish to know about Wampawa. He's got a big mouth, but he knows very little of importance. Don't expect much from that half-empty bottle of vinegar. You get your ass down to Wampawa Garden and talk to the elders. Lie, cheat, and steal if you have to, so long as they're convinced that there won't be any more murders. I want my cut back, and I want it soon. Alright, so these are the missions, I guess, and those other emails were telling us about the different weapon, or like gear shops and stuff, and where we can buy new spells and whatnot. So this is all replacing like the if anyone played Shadowrun Returns, there was like a hub area where you got all this, and I think there was one in Dragonfall as well. Okay, so that one we have to investigate a series of murders. What's this other one? Welcome to the Shadows, Livy. I've received a request from an archaeologist named Mr. Drake. Is this like a reference to the Uncharted series? Archaeologist. He's interested in liberating certain artifacts from beneath a manor house located in Taipo. I've attached a copy of the video message that he sent me. Mr. Drake. The screen flickers a few times and the email is replaced with the face of a stern-looking orc. Hello, Madam Chang. He even kind of looks like Nathan. He's got the hair. Hello, Madam Chang. I've heard that you're a woman who knows how to get things done, especially with regards to things that aren't legal in the strictest sense. That's exactly the kind of help I'm looking for. Recently, a rich investor by the name of Liu Hua, I'm gonna butcher all these names, I'm so sorry everyone, decided to expand his manor house on the outskirts of Taipo. Too much money, not enough space for fancy parties. He had a snag with local government officials, however. They suspected the land his estate was built on to have pre-modern archaeological artifacts buried underneath it. All of them dating from the Song dynasty. Consequently, I was contracted as an archaeologist to oversee the excavations and ensure everything was properly recorded and cataloged. Sure enough, we were only a few days into the excavation when we discovered a series of tombs lying beneath the site. The scope of the tombs was far beyond anything Liu or I had expected. Several acres of catacombs at least, and untouched relics throughout. What's more, they're certainly older than the Song dynasty. They may even be from this previous cycle of magic. Before I can make my report to the Free Enterprise Zone authorities, however, Liu called in his allies in Tantian Incorporated. Liu sold the entire site to Tantian, who then released it back to him. Because Tantian is considered to have extraterritoriality in Hong Kong, local authorities were powerless to stop Liu from looting the tombs. He immediately began building a museum, if you can call it that, atop the site. He had the gall to call his museum the Emperor's Tomb. Can you believe that? The odds of there being an actual emperor buried there are basically nil, but he doesn't care. Anything to sell a few tickets. Like this guy, like, totally super, like, doesn't care that he, like, bought the site, but cares that there was an emperor there. That's great. Liu has continued his excavations using Tantian contractors to expand the dig. What he didn't know is that I bugged his comlink before he fired me. Based on what I've heard, something strange is going on in the lower levels. Workers have been disappearing only to be found dead several days later. Whatever's down there is too dangerous to be left in Liu's hands. Liu must have found my data line tapped, though. I stopped receiving any information 3 days ago. The last thing I heard him talking about were a pair of ancient texts that workers had discovered. Then he issued an order that further excavation should be halted until he can secure the subterranean areas. I'm betting those texts were the cause of whatever's killing the workers. I have quite a bit of experience with these kind of dangerous excavations, but an operation of this scale is beyond me. I need a team that's tough enough to get in and survive, ain't afraid of making a mess, and who can get out with the books and whatever else they can carry. Beyond the 2 texts, I'm willing to pay very well for whatever other artifacts your team can liberate. The more valuable, the better. Don't worry, they'll be going on to actual museums, not some rich playboy's mansion. I've got a second program in place that'll suppress Liu's security system. The team will have to be careful, though. There are only so many alarms I can suppress. Go beyond that number and I'll scrub the mission. I've included a catalog of likely items to help the team appraise the most valuable ones. They don't need to be subtle. In fact, I prefer to make it look like a common robbery. Tell them to smash and grab what they can. Let me know when you find a suitable group of Shadowrunners. There you have it. A nice, simple robbery. Do you think you can handle something that basic, dear? I have faith in you. Let me know when you're ready to proceed. I'll contact Mr. Drake when you're on the way. Well, that one sounds pretty cool. Sounds like some magical bullshit, though. Geomantic sabotage. Geomancy is a big business in the free enterprise zone. Here in Hong Kong, feng shui isn't just the act of rearranging your kitchen to make things look pretty. The fortunes of empires rise and fall with the ebb and flow of qi, and sometimes that flow needs a helping hand. Wuxing Incorporated are the preeminent... It's probably Wuxing, isn't it? I've been pronouncing that wrong, like, for years now. It's awful. Wuxing Incorporated are the preeminent practitioners of large-scale key manipulation here in the Free Enterprise Zone. They've gone to great lengths to channel key from all over Hong Kong into their headquarters, an enormous monstrosity that they call the Wuxing Sky Tower. There it's focused and transformed into good fortune through the building's geomantically attuned architecture and interior decoration. Our client believes that it is time for Wuxing's good luck to run out. You are to infiltrate the Sky Tower and disrupt the flow of qi through the building, but you are to do so in two distinct fashions. First, you must disrupt the feng shui of the offices by subtly altering the environment of that level. This will consist of minor adjustments to desks, spilled water, and other small activities that are unlikely to be noticed. Ordinarily, even subtle disturbances of this nature would be noticed. This is why the client wishes you to make a much louder demonstration on the rooftop garden. The garden is to be ransacked, utterly destroyed, set fire to things, uproot trees, that kind of thing. Our client has also specified that he would like you to destroy the large Buddhist statue in the garden, smash the thing to bits and leave them scattered across the rooftop. This level of destruction will keep Wuxing's geomancers busy long enough that the more subtle disruptions below will take effect. In addition, it will send the kind of message our client would like Wuxing to hear. I have the utmost faith in your ability to cause destruction. The more disruption you can cause on both levels of the Sky Tower, the happier the client will be. As you're not a spellcaster yourself, it might be wise to bring Gobbet along. She will be able to see the most effective ways to disrupt the key of the building. Okay, that one's kind of cool. Like, the geomancy stuff that they talked about in Kowloon, like that one grad student was trying to mess with. That's a really interesting thing that they brought into Shadowrun as part of like the awakening cycle. It's really interesting. So we can read through these. So these are the old missions. We can open the jobs directory. So there's the artifact liberation, the serial killer, and the geomantic sabotage. We can look at Shadowland. So let's. Oh, good. It's future Craigslist. It's great. Oh, this is great. You rappelling down the side of an unnamed luxury hotel in a ball gown on Monday night. Me, admiring the view from the 28th floor urinals during a private soiree of an unnamed corporation that I was infiltrating. Our eyes meet briefly before you dropped out of sight. Your long, dark hairs come loose from your chignon, framing your beautiful, flushed face. I will never forget it. You were carrying a duffel bag, bulging with stolen prototype weaponry. Well, I filched the intel that goes with it. Can we connect? Blackjack. Oh my god, this is great. Very funny, Blackjack. I'm sorry the job went sideways. I got trapped and had only one way out. We were supposed to have each other's backs. Just wait till you hear the way out that I had to take. We gotta lay low for now. And why are we posting about this on a public message board? That's great. Been hearing some buzz about some mainlander terrorists that showed up in Victoria Harbor and had a shootout with the HKPF the other day. Anyone heard anything on that? Ming Pao said there were 4 of them that got away. 1 human, 2 orcs, and a dwarf. A troll, an elf, and a human were all killed on the scene. Word is that they're members of the White Star out of Henan, coming here to start trouble against the Executive Council. Looks like there's a 50,000 New Yen reward for any information leading up to their capture. The HKPF seems pretty nervous about it, letting these bastards walk freely around the streets. You think they'd actually pay out to somebody like us? Not a chance. You walk in here to claim the reward, you're getting thrown in a hole with them. The HKPF doesn't keep promises to the sinless. Couldn't hurt to try. Why do you have to be such a downer? Because I know the police. They're all dirty and they're only in it to protect their paychecks. And they don't give a damn about anyone else. Believe me, I'm just looking out for your best interests. Like you and your triad looked out for my brother. You know he's still paying for his reconstructive surgery, you bastard. If a man wants to keep his teeth, he should pay what he owes rather than pull a gun on me. Simple as that. These are great. Ladies and gentlemen, poets and Shadowrunners, welcome to the first annual Shadowland Poetry Slam. There are no rules and there are also no prizes, except bragging rights. With no further ado, let the versification begin. How long do you think we can keep this going before the trolls show up or a sysadmin shuts us down? Why would they shut us down? It's a free board. We can be poetic if we want to. Just trust me, it happens. For some reason, these things always draw the worst sort of attention. Are you going to give us a poem or are you going to stand around complaining about why you can't? Alright, I've got one. Wait for it. Synth muscles, smart links, neural boosters, cyber limbs, all fall to grenades. A little musing on the transience of life in the shadows. Very nice, sir. When the long shadows fall on Hong Kong, neon lights pierce the coming night, tread with me the velvet blackness, let no lamp shine on our deeds. That one's entitled Our Hour. That might just have been the most pompous thing I've ever read. Try this one on for size. Lasers are red, shadows are black. With Matt on the street, you best watch your back. My poem wasn't pompous, your uncultivated rube. It was a homage to Wang Wei, the famous Tang Dynasty master of the Zhuzu form of poetry. Hope I pronounced that right. It's traditional, unlike that ridiculous limerick that you posted. Now, I don't think you have to take the word slam quite so literally. You people know the rules. Poetry slams have been out of bounds on this BBS since the Laughing Man debacle of 55. Oh man! If you want to sling your fancy words, do it on a different form. I'm shutting this thread down. That's funny. The Laughing Man, I think, this is probably a reference to both Harlequin, who is a immortal elf who was also on Shadowland for a while, and also possibly the Laughing Man from Ghost in the Shell, if you've ever watched that. Very similar, like shadow or cyberpunky kind of show. Told you. Walled City. I've got a courier job next week that's supposed to take me into the Walled City. I'm from Kuala Lumpur, and I've never been to Hong Kong, but I hear that place is dangerous as hell. Is there anything I should know? I've got nothing to worry about. It's just a low-cost housing development full of hard-working people. Here, take a look at this news report. A short trid begins playing. This is Sunny Chung with Horizon News. On today's sunny side up, the Kowloon Walled City, a blight on the free enterprise zone or low-cost housing for the economically disadvantaged. We'll introduce you to some of the hard-working residents, how they live and how they contribute to the growth and prosperity of our city. A montage sequence begins showcasing the destitute poor of the walled city going about their daily lives. The shots have been carefully chosen, showing only smiling and prosperous residents. Productive residents. A stark contrast on your own experience inside it. Many residents of Hong Kong regard the walled city as a place of no return. To outsiders, it's the last stop on a long road to homelessness. Rumors abound of feral ghouls, unsafe living conditions, and triad extortion. Yet when we went there, the reality was far different. What we saw will shock you. Citizens of Hong Kong working and living just like the rest of us. Their apartments are smaller and their shops more modest, but the people who live here wouldn't be more out of place anywhere in the FEZ. Citizens like shoemaker Chow Sang Sui. The scene cuts to an elderly man in a closet-sized stall filled with shoemaking equipment. He smiles broadly at the camera. Oh, I love it here. We have a community, you know. We're like family. Maybe we don't have as nice a view as they do in Repulse Bay, but I can't imagine living anywhere else. It's not paradise, no, but it's my home. I grew up here. How could I possibly leave? Camera shifts back to Shani Chung, who now stands in front of one of the entrances to the walled city. Contrary to popular opinion, the walled city serves a vital function. The poor and downtrodden find a home in the walled city, a community where they have a voice, can work, and even prosper. Far from being an eyesore that the video suddenly stutters, freezes, and ends. Okay, I've decided to cut the rest of that crap. She keeps going on about what a good place the walled city is and how we all need it. Don't buy any of that. It may not be hell, but you can see it from here. Freedom Cowboy is just trying to get you in trouble. Oh, that came from Isabel too. That's cool. So how do you know the real story? Because I grew up there. You know what it's really like? It's eating old broth made from rat bones because there's nothing else. It's watching your neighbors sell their 5-year-old son to organ leggers so they don't have to starve to death. When you die in the walled city, your neighbors cheer because they'll get the clothes off your back. I wouldn't wish the walled city on my worst enemy. Shit. Well, we don't have any pay data yet, so let's go ahead and open the jobs directory. We don't have any active jobs. I'm gonna go ahead and run the serial killer one, because that one seems pretty straightforward. We already read this. Let's take the run. Good, I'll tell the elders you're coming. They don't like outsiders, and they might shoot at you if I don't warn them that you'll be arriving. Oh, we can choose multiple ones if we want to. That's cool. I wonder what's down this hatch. Oh, it's the Russian duder. It's oppressively hot down here, and the air is full of synthetic odors that grab you by the sinuses and refuse to let go. You can smell engine grease and melting plastic, ionized air, and lead solder. A quick scan of the room tells you why. The downstairs tenant has converted this place into a machine shop. Metal fabrication tools and Duraplast extruders line the walls, and a pair of heavy industrial manipulators hang from the ceiling. A man in black trench coat stands with his back to you, staring at a monitor mounted above a sturdy workbench. He addresses you without turning. Ah, I was wondering when I meet the new neighbor. His voice is pleasant, cultured. There's a hint of Russian accent in there, but it's buried under layers of nuance. Please stay where you are. I'll be with you in just a moment. And unless you fancy an unplanned trip to Chrome Alley, don't touch anything. There are all manner of tools in here that could take your hand clean off. Thanks for the warning. Don't mention it. I have no interest in seeing anyone hurt in my shop, especially not my upstairs neighbor. Examine the robotic arms mounted on the ceiling. You focus on the enormous manipulator arms that you saw earlier. They're bulky, industrial things tinted from years of heavy use. Each arm has been fitted with at least a dozen different welders, soldering guns, extruders, and metal fabrication tools. You've seen machinery like this in factories before, but they look terribly out of place in the bolt holes cramped engine room. Very good. Yes, that's coming along nicely. Very nicely indeed. He turns toward you, smiling, and for the first time you can see his face. His broadly handsome Slavic features and a chiseled jaw. His eyes are like flecks of ice. So sorry to have kept you waiting, Miss Livy. It's no problem, don't worry about it. You're too kind. Now tell me, what can I do for... His voice trails off as a flashing motion catches his eye. With alarming speed, a sinister-looking drone scuttles out from under the work table. Its movements are surprisingly agile and fluid. The machine rears back menacingly, spreading its forelegs in a clear sign of aggression. The man's smile tilts, and his tone goes on apologetic. Please don't mind the drone. He can be territorial, but so long as you remain civil, he will not bite. He extends a hand. Simultaneously, the drone relaxes into a neutral position, lowering its killing legs. Rakta. My mechanical counterpart here is called Kosher. A pleasure. His hand is rough and abnormally warm to the touch. He shakes your hand with a solid grip. I am pleased to meet you, my friend. In a community such as Heoi, it is important to be on good terms with one's neighbors. Agreed. Speaking of which, I'd like to ask you some questions if you have the time. He glances at the bracer on his forearm. A technical display winks to life, then gutters out. Very well. This morning's casting should still be cooling for a few minutes left. That's enough time to talk. Koshi is an interesting name for a drone. Yes, I suppose it is. Not many riggers would name their most prized possessions after a villain from a fairy tale. Well, not to my heritage, I suppose. Oh man, can't know the story. What was the fairy tale about? A thoroughly unpleasant person. Koshei the Deathless, as he was called, and for good reason. His soul was cleverly hidden outside of his body, and he could not be killed so long as it remained intact. Koshei was a villain, and a notorious kidnapper of women, but something about him always stuck with me. I suppose that it was the notion of immortality, the cleverness that resonated. There was something to be learned from that. I was sure. And so, when it came to name my beloved creation, his was the first name that came to my mind. And you're drawn deathless like its namesake. In a manner of speaking, I suppose that he is. I have redundant copies of every piece of his architecture, and his core programming is stored on disk in a secret location. Should he ever suffer critical damage, I can easily bring him back. I had a plan once to automate and self-repair a process. I must confess, it was really quite ingenious. But alas, my research was lost. One day I will reclaim it, and Koshei will become as deathless as the stories claim. But this will not be today. You got some interesting machinery in here, not the kind that you typically see outside of corporate settings. He smiles. The same could be said of Minnie and Heioi, I'm sure. This is a smuggler's den, is it not? Our entire economy is based on people having things that they shouldn't. Is there a particular device that interests you, out of curiosity? The robotic arms that you've got over there, they look like something taken from an automotive assembly plant. His smile flashes brilliantly in the light. Good guess. That's precisely what they are. They fell off a boat, you might say. They weren't cheap, but I acquired them and had them mounted to the walls of my shop. I simply had to have them. The return on investment has been dramatic. Yes, they're cruder by far than the Waldo devices that I used in my professional life, but they still do the job, and they are mine. He gazes lovingly at the industrial arm, still smiling. They have increased my fabrication capabilities nearly tenfold, and that to me is worth any price. I have to go back upstairs. Very well. Come back anytime. It's pleasant to have someone to talk to. He seems like a cool dude. Hopefully he isn't like a vampire or something. The story of like Koshei makes me think that there's more to this guy though. Very peculiar. Alright, so we need to go to Wampa. So I guess we go to the train station. I'll try to actually do something interesting instead of just talking this whole run, because I missed last night. Make up for it a little bit. Don't need to buy anything just yet, let's just make some money. Just make us some money. Alright, let's head to the Wampa Gardens. Oh cool, now we can... so this is the hiring thing. Alright. So we can hire our regulars for no cash, or we can choose some random duders. We have to pay for them, but they might be a little bit better than our current ones. So we got Eos, who's a drone rigger, Brent Shirky, who's a mage, X-Flow, who's a phys adept, Caluminati Alabrad, Shaman, and El Duce, a street sam. So I don't think we need any... Oh, actually, that guy's like close combat duder. Let's go with my guys for this run, just to kind of run through it. Yeah, that'll be fine. We got like a good mix. It doesn't sound like this is going to be like a magic heavy one. Outsider. Wampa Garden, a carnival of chrome and neon, rife with every manner of technology and artifice one can imagine. The entire area has the feel of a night market, save that chips are sold in lieu of steamed buns, and vendors hawk the latest drones rather than folk art. Something stalks these streets, hiding just out of sight. It stalks the Wampawin elders, the leaders of the band of tech-savvy squatters that have claimed this neighborhood as their own. The streets smell of ozone and fear, and those Wampawins you pass in the MTR station have a haunted, furtive look in their eye. While the killer has struck only at the elders thus far, it may only be a matter of time before the ordinary residents are menaced as well. Alright. Sorry. The streets of the Wampo Gardens are slick with rain, glittering under the neon glow of myriad signs and holographic displays. The sky reflects the same glow, painting the white apartment blocks the sickly orange of sodium street lights. The smell of grilling meat mingles with other rarer scents, ozone, engine oil, and high-tech fabrication facilities. Despite the hour, there are plenty of people out and about. You can hear the calls of street vendors and touts urging people into their stores. Isabel wrinkles her nose, scowling darkly. She wraps her arms tightly around her chest, staring off into the distance. Is there a word for feeling nostalgic for a place you can't wait to leave again? I don't miss this place, but I miss the feelings I had when I lived here. Saudade, maybe. Isabel shakes her head. No, that's not it. It's close, but... She lets the sentence trail off into nothingness, clamping her mouth shut for a moment. Isabel sighs heavily. This place seemed like heaven after the walled city, like a whole world had unfurled in front of me, and anywhere I turned there was a promise of good life. Turned out this place was just as crappy as everywhere else. Everyone was still in it for themselves. Gobbett claps a hand on Isabel's shoulder, who flinches and pulls away. That's a great life lesson, Is. I'm serious. At the end of the day, life's a raw deal. You've got yourself and a handful of friends, and that's it. Nothing else. Duncan casts a sidelong glance at Isabel and Gobbett, shaking his head. Got some strange ideas about life. Sure, life's a meat grinder, but come on, there's got to be more to life than just surviving. Does there? What makes you the authority on that? Isabel waves a dismissive hand. I'm done talking about this. Anyway. Isabel turns towards you and points down the street to your left. We're looking for the Wampawin elders. They're going to be in Wampo itself. It's the big ship down the street. That's the mall shaped like a boat, right? Isabel nods, lips pursed. That's the one. Somebody thought it would be clever to make a uniquely shaped mall. Alright. Oh, look at all these people. They're all mourning. Let's go into the Wampo. Oh wait, there's something down that alley. Let's go back. Go back! Go back! What are you buying? This is a pretty nice place. I like it. I guess any place looks better than fucking Kowloon World City, at least. Alright. Enough dilly-dallying. Guess we gotta talk to this dude. Oh, he's got a little drone next to him. This orc woman is festooned with small circuits, tiny trid screens, and speakers. The trid screens display snippets of trid broadcasts from every corner of the world. The tiny speakers play counterpoint with the surrs of voices speaking in Sparethial, Punjabi, Kazakh, and other languages. Her expression is haggard, and she fidgets with her fingers as you approach. Welcome. Welcome to the Wampo, my friend. I am eldering. These are elders Tang and it. Gestures to the elf and the human, who each incline their heads respectfully. Thank you so very much for answering our request for help. We had nowhere else to turn. It's the least I could do. Under Tang's skin, glowing tattoos writhe and change shape. Tigers become cranes and move on to dragons. We're under threat. One by one, we elders are being hunted by some monster. As you may have noticed when you arrived, there has been another killing just tonight. Ip crosses his solid chrome arms. Holographic readouts dance constantly over their surface, displaying diagnostic information about their state, operating temperature, servo pressure, and a variety of other minutiae. He looks past you towards Isabel. The prodigal daughter returned once more. I didn't expect to see you aboard the Wampo in my lifetime, Isabel. When you disappeared, Elder Yatun was very put out. I'm glad you're still alive. When you chose to walk your own path, I was disappointed, but I still understood why you had to leave. It pauses, tasting the air as he chooses his next words with care. I hope my lessons have helped you prosper. Didn't expect to be back either. Work takes you places, though. Isabel shrugs. A moment later, she places a hand on her pistol, eyes trained on the Ip's shoes. I don't cart this around for fun, Ip. Lessons kept me alive. Isabel blinks several times, then looks up at him, her expression clouded. Where is Yatun, anyway? I expect her to be here. Shakes her head sadly. She reaches out a hand towards Isabel, who shrinks away from him. She's dead. So are Gan, Nakamura, and Tong was killed just tonight. So much blood. You have to stop this from continuing. Isabel's expression remains impassive, but her knuckles grow white as her hands ball up into fists. That's what we're here for. To stop the killings. Thank you, Isabel. Ing lifts her hand, wiping away tears from her eyes. What can you tell me about the murders? They started 2 weeks ago. The first to go was gone. We found him in his apartment, eviscerated. Ing swallows, grimacing at the painful. He'd been torn apart. His head had been ripped completely off, and most of his skin flayed away. There was so much blood it took us a week to clean out his apartment. Tang nods, running his palm over his forehead. The rest has been the same. Always a night, always dismembered, each scene like a nightmare. And every time nobody has seen anything, it's like a ghost. What happened to Tong? Same thing that happened to the rest of the victims. Evisceration and dismemberment. We sent a guard to keep people out of his shop, but he'll let you in. When did he die? Sometime early tonight. He'd locked up his shop, but Ip stopped by to ask him about some skill chips he had. The door was unlocked and inside. Ing lifts her hand helplessly. She opens her mouth, but no words come out. Seeing Ing's ability to continue, Ip takes over. Inside looked like a bad horror sim, just like all the other murders. It had to have happened after sundown, because I saw his shop was open when I was on my way to get some noodles for dinner. Why didn't you call the police? The Hong Kong police force isn't welcome here. They tried to force us out several times before, or come hunting for someone to pin a crime on. We do a lot of favors for local gangs and triads. Handle their magic security, fix up their gear, and make sure they have access to the Hong Kong Shadowrun hub. We're too valuable. I can't keep track of all these voices. We're too valuable a resource for them to lose, so they protect us when the HKPF or anyone else decides we're an easy target. They handle our physical security, and we make sure to send the message via the Matrix. Last time the HKPF made trouble, we started airing the Assistant Chief's dirty laundry over the trail. They got the picture and backed off. Have you made any enemies lately? Ing shrugs helplessly. Not that I can think of. We keep to ourselves. We buy and sell technology. We're not mercenaries or criminals. We're merchants and deckers. Even if someone was cheated in a deal, this kind of response is unthinkable. Whatever did this, it wasn't human. The violence and savagery, it's a monster, whatever it is. Plenty of metahumans are monsters too. Just because it's horrible doesn't mean it's supernatural. That's all for now. It might be wise to ask the residents of Wampo Garden if they've seen or heard anything, after you've gone through Tong's sensory carnival. They may have seen or heard things we have not. Good to know. Alright, so gotta check this stuff out. So we head into the carnival. Porter Lamb, at your service. The elders told me that you'd be coming. They tell you about what happened to Tong? Just the basics. Well, nothing's basic about this. I've seen people shot, stabbed, beaten to death. Hell, I even seen a corpse that was so dry and desiccated I could have sworn a vampire got to it. None of that's got anything on this. Brace yourself and go on in. Gruesome. Tong's Sensory Carnival looks like the scene out of a B-grade slasher sim. The cloying sense of incense hangs thick and pungent in the air, emanating from the small shrine in the corner of the shop. Unfortunately, it does nothing to cover up the reek of death and clotted blood. Despite the ragged remnants of Elder Tong littering the floor, the rest of the shop appears to be in good order, at least at first glance. Nothing is broken, tipped over, or otherwise ransacked. As you're about to step further in the room, you glance at the ceiling and walls. The blood from Tong's body isn't just confined to where his remains lie. Drying blood is spread about the walls and ceiling as well. Ooh, he's been a little messed up. It's probably good. Tong's body is a ruined mess. The destroyed ruin of his face is barely recognizable, and what's left of his body would best be described as savaged. All of his limbs have been torn off, and a pile of flayed skin lies next to the remnants of the Wampawin elder. The Wampawin's clothing has all but been reduced to rags and tissue by cuts and tears, apparently sustained during the flaying. At this point, the only thing holding what's left of his body into a semblance of human form is the hair-thin fiber optics of his cyberware. Gaba puts a hand over her mouth, speaking in an uncharacteristically serious tone. Sweet heaven, Livy. I haven't seen anything like that since Auntie Wong tried to stash some cred sticks in a devil rat's nest. It takes a lot to turn my stomach, but we have a winner today. This is seriously messed up. I'll second that. This isn't a murder. This is more like, I don't know, a feeding frenzy. If it weren't for the skin, I'd say Tong stepped on a goddamn mine or something. Yeah, let's have Gabita sense it. You're the boss. Man, this is gonna be unpleasant. Gabit closes her eyes, takes a deep breath. After a moment, she opens them again and makes a strange grunting noise. There's no fear here, Livy. No anger either, just this kind of satisfied feeling. Tong never saw it coming, and whoever did it was professional about it, which is pretty odd because nobody's professional about eviscerating a body as far as I know. You mean the murder wasn't some kind of animal attack? I don't know why the killer was after Tong, but it definitely wasn't any kind of mindless creature or even someone particularly passionate. It was someone who planned this and executed it and was glad about it. I don't know, it just feels like it was business as usual. I guess there's nothing else we can do, unless I can level up really quick, and I can't. Let's check out the fucked up wall. The walls are covered in splattered and smeared blood, most of which is hardened into a crusty, congealed paste. Thick tracks of it run laterally. It looks like the blood had been deliberately smeared. Hey, Livy, I don't know a whole lot about science and all that, but I know what blood looks like when it hits a wall. This isn't natural. Someone deliberately smeared blood all over these walls. See how it looks like it's got paint trails? It's because someone used Tong's parts like a brush. So they painted his walls with blood? Why? Do I look like a psychologist to you? Because they're a freak. Maybe they're one of those sick serial killers that sees their murderers as odd. I ain't got no clue. All I know is what normal blood looks like on a wall, and this ain't it. Some people have a bad grasp of art. I knew this guy in Kwang Tung who used to make music out of straight radio static and panic button calls. Called it Crisis Wave. It was awful. Is that a little, like, subtle jab at Vaporwave? It's pretty great. I guess we should check out the rest of this place. I guess this is like a Simpsons parlor or something. Let's check the desk safe. Tong's desk drawers are open, and the safe that's built into one side has been opened. There's no sign of tampering, and the green light next to the word unlocked is blinking. Whoever opened the safe did it with a key fob. Inside there are several blank cred sticks, but no sign of any with money on them. Looks like someone loaded a stash. A guy like this wouldn't keep only empty cred sticks on his safe. Let's check out his bathroom. Tong's bathroom is immaculate and the drains are tiny. Whatever killed him didn't exit through here. Let's check out his sweet battle station in here. This is a Yamaha 95,000V SimSynth, a device for mixing and mastering SimSynth chips. Several drive bays are empty and all of the chip jacks are empty. The screen is flashing in a repeated error message. Warning, requested files cannot be found. Please return drives to bay and try again. Let's have Isabel debug it. Isabel rattles out some commands on the SimSynth keyboard, stepping away after a few seconds with a look of satisfaction on her face. There, I've put the drive warning on suspend. It's in diagnostic mode only, though. Maybe we'll learn something, maybe not. Yamaha SimOS 5.23 System Diagnostic Checks. Memory check. Drive error assist bus. Okay. Beginning core dump. Please wait. The long debug spew that scrolls out across the synth screen is filled with numbers indicating recent files, play links, keyframes, and assist peak levels. Assist. The assist, I think, is like artificial sensory input sense technology, I think. It's what allows like cyberdecks and computers and chips to like send emotional data basically to your brain. Based on the numbers you're seeing, Tong's SimSynth has been hacked to remove the peak controller levels from the chips he's been burning, the required operation to make BTL chips. The delta wave outputs from these chips push them dangerously into brain-burning territory. The file catalog for the high-peak BTLs indicates all the files and burden chips should be stored on the missing drives and whatever was in the empty chip jacks. Someone cleaned out Tong's BTL stash. Interesting. So he was creating BTLs, but someone took them and killed him for it, apparently. Wonder if this is like one of those they're living out a fantasy kind of thing. Wonder if some of these people know anything. Let's ask Zippy over here. Come on. The orc is busy snacking on his steamed bun. As you approach, he wipes one of his hands and sticks it out toward you. Hey, stranger. Nice to meet you. Zippy Toe Tag at your service. How you liking Wampoa Garden? I'm Livy. Nice to meet you, Zippy. Nice to meet you, too. Listen, I know it's a little forward of me just saying hello and whatnot, but I'm interested in giving you a hand if I can. Zippy gestures expansively at the squalid, neon-lit streets of Wampoa Garden. This is my home, or at least for the time being, and I'd like to stop these killings. We've never met before this, but I know exactly who you are. You're my replacement. The Elders had me autopsy what was left of Elder Gon and Elder Nakamura after they got ripped apart, but I didn't want to dig any deeper. So since I don't know you and I can smell a Shadowrunner a mile away, you've got to be the outsider they asked to stop these killings, right? Zippy tilts his head back, obviously pleased at his amateur deduction. Show off. Yes, you're right. See, I have good eyes. A lot of good eyes, actually, if you're in the market for replacements. Only slightly used, and they only come from certified donors, I swear. A hearty belly laugh erupts from the orc, and he slaps one of his thighs in elation. Man, I kill myself! That was awful. Zippy shrugs, grinning wide. I know. I always wanted to be a stand-up comedian, but all my jokes are terrible. So if you're not a comedian, what are you? I'm one of the only trained surgeons around here. I keep the other Wampowans healthy. Gotta practice down the road. Blind Chin's a pretty good cyberdoc, but he's basically an implant specialist, and that's it. How'd you end up here? I did my residency back in the UCAS. Could have become a real MD, too, if things hadn't gone south for unrelated reasons. Zippy opens his coat, revealing a cyberdeck. He pats it proudly. I also deck a little, but I'm better at slicing skin than ice. Wampoa Garden seemed a good fit for me. Let me ask you about Wampoa Garden. Sure thing, what do you want to know? What are your thoughts on the murders? There's a sharp intake of breath as Zippy shakes his head. Pretty gruesome business. Gon died from a broken neck. Looked like someone had wrenched around and his arms and legs were cut off. Some skin flayed away too. Nakamura had his throat ripped out by somebody with really sharp teeth. First saw it, I thought it was a devil rat, but the teeth marks were from something with a humanoid jaw. I didn't look at Yatun. From when I saw it at a distance, it was the same story. Didn't seem much of a point since I'd seen it twice already. As for Tong, from what Porter told me, it was Gon and Nakamura all over again. Take a look at him yet? Yeah, it's the same as you described for the others. Zippy shakes his head sadly. Damn. I like Tong. The BTL business is unsavory, but the man had to eat. And his regular sims were great. Generally all around nice guy, friendly with everyone, never had anyone mad at him. There ain't no justice, let me tell you. What can you tell me about the elders? Zippy laughs, shrugging. Well, they're an eclectic bunch, that for sure. Where to start? Young's the spiritual leader here. She's the voice of the Wamp ones, I guess. A lot of her close friends are really more followers since she's something of a priest for the machine spirits. Maybe it's a cultural thing for someone who grew up here, but it's never called to me. Still, she makes a damn fine pot of tea. Hip's the muscle, and has encyclopedic knowledge of cyberware and bioware. Definitely a good guy to have watching your back. Not too friendly, but you know how it is. You get a lot of cyberware, people start wondering if it's tear their arms off. Zippy makes a chopping gesture with one hand. This guy moves straight out of Blood Carnival 3 The Reckoning. Terrible movie, but great fight choreography. What about Tang? I don't know much about him, but I think he's got some kind of fetish for automation. I found him cooing over some trids of automated delivery drones in a warehouse once. He works with drones, has a shop called the Blessed Auto Fab. He was raving about the inefficiency of the movement patterns or something. You already know about Tom. Ran sims, BTLs, skill chips. Gon used to be a city planner before he had a nervous breakdown and got involved in statistical analysis. Zippy pauses to collect his thoughts. Nakamura came from Fukuoka. He was interested in entertainment, trid mostly. Spent a lot of time analyzing subliminals and ads. Then there was Magpie. She was the chief decker, hot as hell against ice and built her own hardware. Salty old woman, though. Never met anyone who was quite as shrill and nasty as she was mad. She was mad most of the time. Wait, no one mentioned Magpie to me. When did she die? She didn't. Maybe a month ago, she just up and disappeared. I went to her shop one day and she just wasn't open. Nobody's seen her since. Kind of a pain in my ass, too. She owed me some new Analyze software she picked up. I've never heard of Magpie either. She must be the one of the newer Wampa ones. If she was the Decker, she would have replaced Elder Gao. No surprise there. Gao was older than Qin Shiundai's Terracotta Warriors. When I was learning decking from him, he could barely get out of bed. Still fast as hell in the Matrix, though. How can you be new and an elder? Isabel rolls her eyes. It's a stupid name. It doesn't actually have to do with much time spent in the community. That has something to do with it, I'm sure. But it's mostly how skilled you are, how good your connections are, and how much you can help everyone else. Should have called them experts or something. Bingo! That's exactly it. She was only here for about 3 years, but she knew a lot of people all over the Matrix, in Shanghai and Beijing, all kinds of places. That plus her skill meant she was a shoo-in when Gao died. Why would she disappear? No idea. One day she was here, the next poof. At first I thought she was just on vacation, since she had mentioned wanting to see the Kingdom of Hawaii sometime. But it didn't feel right. She would have at least told me she was leaving. It seems mighty suspicious to me. Nobody else seems to care about what happened to her, probably because she pissed them all off so bad. A little odd for her to just disappear, don't you think? Of course it's odd. She owed me lunch too, and she was the sort who paid her debts promptly. You might want to check out her shop. It's all locked up, but the other elders should have a spare key. Couldn't hurt to look around, and even though Magpie was always butting heads with the other elders, they wouldn't have any reason not to let you in. What do you mean they were butting heads? Magpie and the others never saw eye to eye. She was contrary for the sake of it. Most of the rest had a grand vision of what they wanted this neighborhood to become. Magpie just wanted to deck. She was only an elder because they needed someone with her matrix chops. Last big argument was between her, Ing, Hip, and Nakamura. It was over something relatively trivial. I think Nakamura wanted to expand the pirate trade business in the Matrix, and she just absolutely refused. She sounds like she didn't care for entertainment taking precedence over business. That's exactly it. She gave Nakamura an earful, let me tell you. She said something about not using a valuable bandwidth for trivial entertainment bullshit. Anyway, it went from there into this rant about how she wasn't going to let Tang expand his drone business any further because it would get too much megacorp attention. Hold on just a sec. Well, that was random. Some of my friends just wanted to go get some ice cream, but I told them since I was in the middle of this, I'd have to do this first. Okay, so they accused her of blocking them just because she could, which is probably true. Lots of screaming. What do you mean blocking them? Everybody needs a matrix skills for their businesses to run properly. There are other Deckards, me, Say, or Mo Jinbi, but she had the infrastructure. If their project didn't interest her, she wouldn't even give them the time of day. She's a real hardhead about having her time wasted, but she figures if she's not interested in something, it has no value objectively. Kind of a major blind spot if you ask me. Sounds like she was critical. Yes and no. She was, but since she disappeared, Elder Ib's taken over running the Matrix infrastructure. He's not as good as she was, but his experience with drones makes him the best candidate. They wouldn't entrust something like that to anyone who wasn't an Elder, so there you go. See you later, Zippy. Interesting. So there was another Elder that they didn't like. Let's see. Breaker Hui. An imposing troll stands in front of a stall overflowing with weapons of all sorts. Pistols, rifles, and even brass knuckles overflowing at the rug around him. Oh there. You look like a woman who understands the value of self-defense. Breaker Hui, at your service. And I can promise you I can help you defend yourself. What do you say? Want to take a look? I'm more interested in information. Yeah? Tell me what you want. Maybe I can help you out. Know anything about the murders? Just that Elders have been getting hacked apart. I'd tried to stay away from it all. No sense painting the crosshairs on my own forehead, right? Troll shrugs indifferently. I'm nobody important, and I aim to keep it that way. You know anything about Elder Magpie? Never met her, thank God. She ran with the Deckas mostly, since she dealt with chips and software. I heard she was hard to work with. I think the phrase I overheard was that she shrieked like a harpy with a fresh corpse. I don't know. You should ask Zippy though. He's a sharp one with the deck, so he'd know her better than most. What are your impressions of the Wampoan Elders? Can't say I associate much with them. They organize big trade deals with the Loho Joa pirates, the triads, and legitimate businesses. They tell us if somebody's been blacklisted and dispense justice when someone breaks the rules. Beyond that, they leave us alone. I leave them alone. I'm not important enough to register on their radar. Aside from Tong, who slings the BTLs around here? The Red Spear Gang. They run up in here sometimes, but don't cause much trouble. Check out the parking garage south of here, though. They usually hold up in there. Step light, though. If they don't know you and you cop an attitude, they'll put you in the ground. Funny thing, I heard there was a shootout with some Hong Kong police in the garage a month ago. I was away in Beijing at the time, so I didn't see it directly, but everybody was talking about it when I got back. Why is that funny? Because we don't let the HKPF in here most times. We shoot at them if they try. Every time they come in here, it's bad for us, because they're always looking for a scapegoat. Why would the Elders let them in? Nobody knows. See you later. The plot thickens. This is Mojin. The man in front of the stall is rooting through a box of music chips with the swift fingers of someone who knows what they're looking for. Behind him, a music player pumps out a constant stream of distorted, atonal music. The stall's proprietor is nowhere to be seen. Can you believe this? They've got 4 bootlegs of Echelon 60, the unreleased Enoch Eon Keys double chip show from Brazzaville, but absolutely 0 chips from Shotgun Bloom. The stall's stuff is purely second-rate. Hey man, don't get down on Echelon 60. I saw them when they played that unlicensed show at the Choco Tart factory outside of Swin Wan. That show was amazing, even if the police had to break it up midway through the second set. The music aficionado waves his hand dismissively. This show might have been great, but come on. Echelon 60's old news. They've already been mainstream. I saw a Trid ad for the new Mitsubishi Astro scooter, and they were using Main Volt Underbus as the backing music. Made me sad, I tell you. Wow, this guy's such a music snob. It's so great. Decker inclines his head politely towards you. Mo Jinbi, at your service. Decker, technologist, music fan. You're not from around here, are you? You don't hold yourself like a native. Not Wampolo Garden, no. Mo runs a hand through his hair, shaking the collective rain off. I thought so. What brings you out here? I'm trying to find out who's been killing the elders. Decker pauses a moment, face falling. Oh, that's nasty business. Heard Tong died tonight. I don't know who or what they pissed off, but it seems like a really bad scene. I'm trying to keep my nose out of it. Still, I like this place. Is there anything I can do to help? Know anything about the murders? I'm trying to stay as far away from it as possible. I'm not connected enough to hear anything important, and all the talk about monsters is just plain dark. I'm not afraid of monsters, but I don't want to get their attention. All I know is that a couple of months ago we had elders Nakamura, Yatun, Gon, and Magpie. No, we don't. I've heard about Magpie. Sounds like she was kind of vicious. To be blunt, she's a hateful, shrewish old badger of a person. It was always her way or the highway. She butt heads with the other elders over damn near anything. The last fight she had with Tang over something or other, I guess she ended up throwing some of his micro-drones into a deep fryer and threatened to kick his ass around the block. What was her line of business? Matrix gear. Her shop's called the Jack Point. Not very imaginative, I know. She's always had the hottest programs, best chips, and made some killer decks for anybody willing to pay her rates. Cost plenty of Nuyen, but she was one of the best in the business, at least in Hong Kong. If you want to know more about her, you should talk to Zippy. He's one of the only people around here who got along with Magpie. You can probably find him by the MTR station. He loves the steam bun card over there. Can you tell me about the Wamplemans? We're a collection of freaks, geeks, nerds, and tech junkies. This place may look like a third world bazaar, but believe me, we have stuff here that's cutting edge in almost every field. Most swells with pride and plants both hands firmly on his hips. Maybe it's not as advanced as the stuff the Megas have in their development labs, but it's as advanced as anything you can find at a store. People come from all over the world to buy and sell here and work out deals for big shipments. We got contacts with every pirate and smuggling group in the South China Sea, and every major syndicate and gang in the Free Enterprise Zone knows not to mess with us. Not only are there a lot of us, nobody wants to lose what we're selling. The Red Dragon made a play 4 years ago, but we chased him out. Mo gestures with both hands of shooing away a bothersome insect. Scooted off back to Homan Tin, and they've never been back. Sounds dangerous. You must have pissed them off. It's all about playing the Angus. Yeah, I pissed them off, but we sold goods to the Yellow Lotus at a discount. In exchange, the Yellow Lotus kept them all far back. You don't have to beat up the big guy to win. You just have to make him step back so the other big guy sees off balance. Stand-up fights are for the Megas. We're about survival, just like everybody else in the shadows. What's your area of expertise? I'm a decker. I used to be a company man for years, pushing code on their servers, smearing the little cyber pukes that would try to get into our secure systems. I made a pretty good living. Had my own place on the 48th floor in a corporate skyscraper. That was the kind of thing the Sims teach you. Everybody reaches for the dream life. How'd you end up here? Found out the company wasn't what I thought it was. Sure, they paid me well and kept me in creature comforts, but I accidentally looked over some misfiled reports while cleaning out a company data store. Turns out one of the company's security riggers had gotten drunk and blabbed about some project or other being over budget and behind schedule. That's not good. It'd be a fireable offense, right? Mo purses his lip, his gaze going distant for a moment. Well, I guess upper management was worried that info would hurt their stock ratings by a fraction of a point or two. So they fired the guy, with a .308 round right through the skull. That seems drastic. May have only been a fraction of a point, but that was still tens of millions of new yen. I guess that went beyond a firing offense, directly into murder territory. What's worse, since I now knew about both the project and the murder, I could be next in the firing line. I knew I wasn't worth the expense to hunt down as long as I kept my head down. So I came out here, looking for like-minded deckers. I guess I ended up staying because I could get a semblance of community out here, and I couldn't get that much in many other places. See you later, Mo. Interesting. Alright, so we've got a few leads. Spears. So okay. Let's talk to Keita here. This dumpy-looking man is busily hawking a variety of grilled spherical treats of various sizes. Some are sold individually, some are skewered on sticks, and some are packaged up in sets of 4 or 6. A sign on the front of the cart reads, Keita's 1 yen yatai. A cacophony of small trid screens are attached to the cart, each playing a different trid show. Interest you in some dango, takoyaki, maybe a nice nikuman? That's a pork bun with a Japanese twist. Any kind of tasty Japanese treat you can imagine, I've got it. Maybe some curry fish balls are your speed. Keita will give you your heart's desire, providing that desire is on my menu. Let me have some dango. Your wish is my command, good man. Keita deftly pulls out one of the dango sticks out of a cart and drops it on the grill. A small robotic arm slides out of the cart and begins turning the stick until the balls of rice flour are toasted brown color. Lifting them from the grill, Keita dips the entire stick into a tub of sticky brown sauce before handing it to you. The snack is the sweet and salty flavor reminiscent of sesame seeds and soy. The balls inside are pleasantly warm and surprisingly chewy. A bit like eating raw dough, but without the attendant chalky taste. Keita leans back, studying you intently. The trid projections from his cart cause his face to be lit in a constantly shifting array of rainbow hues. So what brings you to Wampua Garden, my friend? Somehow I doubt it's just the street food. Just here on a job. Keita nods just once. I can respect that. Sometimes the tides of life take you to strange places, and few places are stranger than this one. What can you tell me about all the people here? We're tech heads, deckers, riggers, trid pirates, and everything in between. If I did define this place, I'd say it's Asia's mecca for people like us. As for elders, I can give you the basics. I'm a small fry, so we're not exactly on social terms. I'm some kind of crazy tech witch. She summons up spirits and casts spells and works as the spiritual center of the tribe. She's a lot craftier than she seems to. She has this mother-to-everyone act going on, but I've watched her manipulate people into doing all kinds of stuff they wouldn't normally do. And they thought it was their idea the whole time. Magically, you mean? No, I don't think so. She's just really good with people. Ip's a killer, addicted to cybernetic implants. He always has to have the newest and freshest gear. The funny thing is, I've never seen him fight. Kinda get the impression he's a coward. He'd rather let one of his buddies handle the problem than do it himself. All I know about Tang is that he loves drones and does a little decking. Frankly, I find him kinda boring. All he talks about is neural networks, dark knowledge, and the evolution of machine learning. Like I said, boring. What's with all the trid screens? Keita beams and gestures excitedly to him. You like them? I love trid operas. Chinese, Korean, Japanese, Indonesian, it doesn't matter. This way I can watch all of my favorite shows without missing a beat, and I can work at the same time. Pirated trid is my other business. I rip the streams in the Matrix, tap right into the corporate feeds, and resell them on ship out here. Keita's face falls a bit and his enthusiasm wanes. I wish it could pay the bills, but my food cart's a lot better at that. I don't know why, but most of the other Wampuans seem like sim over trid. They don't know what they're missing, though. One episode of 1,000 Cranes of Autumn and they'd be hooked for life. I'm just at the part where Orin confessed her love to Takayama, but he's got to get his mech suit out of the front lines on Mars, so he can't be with her. Downright heartbreaking, I tell you. Sounds like an interesting show, alright. Eyes twinkling, Keita leans forward in breathless excitement. Oh god, here we go. Oh, you have no idea. 312 episodes chronicling a noble mech pirate and the tumultuous love affair he has with the space station governor's daughter. The pathos, the majesty. The Battle of Lagrange 1 spans 5 episodes just by itself. For some reason, I guess it just didn't resonate with the wider public. I don't know why. Who doesn't love to see a trid show about giant flying robots, love, betrayal, and spies? I mean, sounds like my kind of show. I've got to stop myself before I get carried away. Was there something else you needed? Got any thoughts on the murders? Yeah, ignore them. Keita shrugs indifferently. I saw a crowd at the Tong's Sensory Carnival earlier tonight, but I didn't know the guy very well. I'm a trid fan. He liked The Sims. Not a lot of crossover between us. See you later, Keita. Alright. I guess we can finish questioning all these people here before I probably should wrap it up. So we got one more. Demergo. This man has a tired, world-weary demeanor about him. His eyes track your movements with a penetrating, critical precision. Something about him, the lines about his eyes perhaps, make you suspect he's seen a lot of terrible things happen. He lifts his cup of cheap soy calf as you approach. Let me guess, you're the freelancers the elders are paying to look into the murders around here. That's right. Who are you? Call me Demergo. I'm not one of the Wampawins, but I've been here long enough that they don't think twice about me being here. Demergo drains his last of his soy calf in a large gulp. So what have you found so far? You're awfully curious for a random guy. Professional curiosity. I used to be here with the New York Police Department as part of their thaumaturgical research division. Part of the CSI branch, except I did magical investigation while the other guys pulled prints and checked blood samples. Demergo tossed the soy calf cup toward a nearby garbage can. It bounces around the rim and rolls inside. When I heard about the shit like this happening, I keep my ear to the ground. Old habits, you know. Seems like you're more cut out for this job than I am. Rings asked me to look into the killings after the first murder. She couldn't afford my fee though, so I took a pass. It's not just the money either. Demergo shudders, folding his arms across his chest. You see that stuff day after day, you pay a price. He eats at you. You know what it's like to feel all that sickness and anger every day? To be asked to pick up a murder weapon and relive someone's death? Feel it going into your neck, pleading into the voice of a dead woman for a killer to spare you? These days, I'd rather interrogate the living, thanks. Sounds awful. Awful. It's more than awful. It's a goddamn nightmare is what it is. One I couldn't wake up from for a long time. Sometimes you have to cut and run, start fresh. At least now I can pick my own jobs. I can read objects. It's called psychometry. A little trick I managed to pick up. Don't really know how. I hold something, I can tell you what happened, who owned it, how it killed someone, if someone loved it or was afraid of it. Useful, but it'll tax your heart. And before you ask, no. I'm not going to read anything you find. I've already told him I don't want any part of this. You wanted advice, I'll give you that. But I'm not getting drawn into further than that. So, aside from that, is there anything I can help you with? Tong wasn't afraid when he died. He was caught by surprise. Demergo arches an eyebrow. That's not what I would have expected. With the amount of mess that each scene, the victims should have left behind a hell of a lot of fear and pain. Are you sure? Very sure. Tong died tonight, so the astral signature hadn't had time to fade. There was only a sense of perfunctory accomplishment. It sounds like this wasn't a crime of passion. Planned attack would have had that kind of resonance in my experience. It's possible the gore show is to throw off anyone looking for the actual reason. Demergo closes his eyes and starts to nod. Yeah, if I wanted to kill someone and get away with it, I'd try and point the finger at some other kind of monster. Some kind of monster. Demergo opens his eyes and smiles a thin, humorless grin. Basic Investigation 101. It's usually the simplest explanation, but don't discount other possibilities. Think the mess wasn't incidental? It's a possibility. Ask yourself this. If the mutilation happened after Tong's death, why would a killer perform that kind of ritual? Serial killers who engage in the kind of ritual don't feel perfunctory about it, in my experience. It tends to feel more like they're taking communion. It's a religious or sexual feeling most of the time. If this didn't feel that way, I don't think the killer is actually pathological. What can you tell me about the Wampawins? I don't know much. Even though I've been here almost 2 years, I'm an outsider. They don't really accept anyone who's not as much of a tech nut as they are. I'm just the crazy mage that lives down the road. Demergo pauses and looks off into the distance as he collects his thoughts. Ip's got some heavy-duty cyberware, basically an enforcer for the rest of the council. He doesn't seem to set much policy. Ing is a shaman that worships machine spirits. It's all a bunch of hokum, if you ask me. Magic is magic. Whatever you want to call the source is fine by me, but don't ask me to believe in a great spirit of electronics. As for everybody else, they seem to be an okay bunch. A bit strange, but that's fringe culture for you. They scrounge tech, rebuild it, sell it off. Some of them even have their own auto fab shops. Their stuff's pretty high quality too. People from all over Asia come to shop here if they need something rare or unusual. Tight-knit little community, all things considered. What do you know about the murders? They started a couple of weeks ago. Elder Gon was the first to go. That's when Inget asked if I could look into them. He was ripped apart. Arms wrenched out of their sockets, skin flayed away with a razor-sharp knife. The rest have been the same. Whatever did it sure didn't care about being a clean death. Demerga Loy's voice leaning in toward you so that only you can hear. The funny thing is, the Hong Kong police force was out here a few weeks before that. Maybe a month tops. I know that doesn't seem like much, but the Wampawins don't usually let the police in here. That by itself is odd enough, but it gets even stranger. The officers were loaded for bear, too. Big guns and heavy armor with NBC seals. It works. They went into the parking garage near there, and there was some kind of gunfight. Never made it back out. When backup showed up, the Wampawins chased them away. Why would they let the cops in and chase them away? That's exactly the kind of question you should be asking, and that the elders refused to answer when I asked. Demerga shrugs. Go take a look for yourself if you want. Watch out, though. The gang's taken up residence there, dealing drugs and BTLs. They call themselves the Red Spear. Not too violent if you don't push them, but be careful what you say. See you later. Alright, so we've got a pretty good lead on where we need to go. It looks like we need to go investigate the Red Spears in here. But, my voice is getting a little shot from doing this now and doing all these voices, since I spent basically an hour and a half just talking. But hope you guys enjoy this set, and I'll be streaming again maybe tomorrow night. Probably only an hour the next time. I just wanted to do this a little bit longer to make up for last night. If you want to check up with me more, there's I'll have the VODs on YouTube as soon as they're done encoding, and you can always tweet at me at PhynalEcho, same as the Twitch title, and see you guys again later. Till then,